Yes po.
Yes po, Dok.
Okay, sige. Let's wait for the others. Start tayo in around 5 to 10 minutes. Rinig ako?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, so we were not able to meet last Monday due to the typhoon, but I hope everyone is okay, everyone is safe. So today we will be discussing Module 10, which is yun yung dapat i-discuss natin after the quiz. But unfortunately, since online muna tayo, so discussion lang today, then your long quiz will be rescheduled on our next face-to-face class na lang, no? Okay, so we will start. Okay, so spectacle dispensing tayo for today's module. So we have discussed before kung ano yung mga normal na refractive error sa mga bata, which I think you all know na very common ang hyperopia. Even the physiological astigmatism is quite normal for a certain age. But when it comes to prescribing protocols, tuwing kailan ba tayo kailangan magbigay ng glasses? At anong grado ba usually yung kailangan nating ibigay? So here are some protocols or some guidelines that has been shared by some practitioners and are only published for the guidance of practitioners as well. So I am sharing this one, but not a strict implementation na dapat ito yung gawin ninyo sa klase ninyo, na dapat ito yung gawin ninyo when it comes to practice. So what I'm going to share to you are just some published guidelines. So it is still up to the practitioner kung ano yung kailangan niyang ibigay sa final prescription or kung kailan talaga siya magbibigay ng klase sa bata. So some guidelines are just for you to good to know lang. No? So from the American Academy of Ophthalmology, nag-publish sila ng guidelines na kung kailan or kung ano yung age requirement and the grade requirement for different types of refractive error. So if in case the patient is still a toddler or less than a year old, usually mas mataas yung diopters na hinahanap natin. So if it is myopia na greater than 5, then that is a guide or at least a rule na sa kanila na pwede ka na mag-prescribe. But if the child is usually preschool pa lang, mas mababa yung degree requirement natin. Usually 250 diopters or more. If it is a hyperopia na wala naman deviation, 6 diopters are required for a toddler. But if it is with strabismus or with esotropia, dapat 2 diopters is magpe-prescribe ka na. Okay? Pero pag nasa preschool, mas mababa yung kailangan natin, around 150 for both astigmatism and hyperopia. If it is anisometropia naman, usually dito titignan mo kung ilang degrees ba or ilang diopters ba yung difference between the right eye and the left eye. So if it is without strabismus for toddlers, medyo mataas din yung kailangan, at least 4 diopters or more. For hyperopia and astigmatism, 250. But for a preschool age, 250 naman for myopia and 150 diopters for hyperopia and astigmatism. Next, for the recommendation frequency, tuwing kailan ba dapat nagpapa-check up ang isang pediatric patient? From AOA naman, or the American Optometric Association, usually, if toddler pa yan, birth up to 2 years old, at least kapag nasa 6 to 12 months of age na siya, dapat at least ma-check up siya. If preschool age, around 3 to 5 years old, at least once between this age group, ma-check up na siya. But if school age na siya, around 6 to 17 years old, dapat before siya pumasok ng grade school, ma-check up na siya. Then annually na, every year, kailangan ma-check up siya. Now, this is Margaret Woodhouse, which is the senior lecturer and the head of the Down Syndrome Vision Unit at Cardiff University. So, siya yung nag-design ng Cardiff Acuity Test, yung ginamit natin during VA taking. And nag-design din siya ng other tests such as the Cardiff Contrast, the Cardiff Near, the City Cardiff, and the Ulster Cardiff na yung ginagamit sa Knott's method or the dynamic retinoscopy. And siya din yung naging professor ko when I took up pediatric optometry sa Cardiff. So here, based sa kanya, when it comes to prescribing protocols, you should consider prescribing in cases of extreme EOR, if medyo mataas yung degree, if there is strabismus and amblyopia, and if there is persistent anisometropia, which is 1 diopter difference seen at least on 2 visits with 3 months apart. So meaning, every time na nagpa-follow up siya sa'yo within 3 months, hindi bumababa or hindi nagbabago yung anisometropia ng patient. If the child is under 2 years of age, no need to prescribe, i-monitor lang daw muna. But if the child is over 2 years of age, any significant error na hindi bumababa or hindi nawawala habang nagpa-follow up siya or every check-up niya sa inyo, then you should consider prescribing. Then ano ba yung significant error na tinutukoy niya? If the patient has hyperopia of 3 diopters or greater, you should prescribe but you should reduce 1 diopter off if wala naman siyang binocular vision anomalies. If the patient has myopia, which is greater than 75 diopters, then usually kapag bata that are very young and are not yet interested in near, then the RX is not needed. So meaning hindi ka muna magbibigay, monitor lang muna. Kung hindi naman kailangan ng bata na clear vision siya. Usually kasi, very young children would usually just play outdoors, distance vision pa, mostly yung ginagamit. But if the child begins to need usually near vision sila dito, kaya no need. But if in case, papasok na siya ng school, kailangan na niya ng distance vision na malinaw, then you should prescribe the full amount. Then if the child has astigmatism in the absence of hyperopia and myopia, basta 250 diopters or greater yung astigmatism, then that is significant enough for us to prescribe. Next naman is the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences in UP Manila. Ngayon, you have to take note, tayo kasi dito sa Philippines, yung mga optometrists has not published any guidelines when it comes to pediatric dispensing. So meaning, ang kanya-kanya pa din or kanya-kanyang prerogative ang mga optometrists here in the Philippines when it comes to prescribing. The ophthalmology department, however, has published their own guidelines, which I'm going to share with you, but still, you should take this into consideration na hindi dapat ito strict na fina-follow. When it comes to prescribing, it is still a case-to-case basis. So, based sa ophthalmology department from UP Manila, if the myopia is low, which is mababa lang, less than 1 diopter, RX may be given depending on the visual tasks. Meaning, titingnan niyo muna kung kailangan ba niya or hindi niya kailangan. Okay, then if it is moderate, between -1 to -3 diopter, then if the child is 6 months of age pa lang, pero yung myopia niya is mataas na sa 2 diopters, then you need to give the full cyclorefraction. But if it is 1 year old, then yung grado lang is between 1 to 150, you should observe muna. But if the child is already school age, you have to give the cyclorefraction. But if the prescription is greater than 3 diopters, then we need to give the full cyclorefraction. Next, if the child is hyperopic, if mababa lang, meaning less than 3 diopters, then you should observe lang. If asymptomatic naman, meaning walang headaches, walang blurry vision sa near, hindi siya nahihirapan, observe lang muna. But if the patient is symptomatic, if cooperative yung bata that you think your VT number 7 is accurate, then you should base your prescription on the VT number 7. If uncooperative yung bata, meaning you're not sure if your VT7 is accurate, you can reduce the plus power from the cyclorefraction. If the hyperopic grade is moderate naman, between +3 to +4, you have to give the refraction, the plus power, na nagbibigay sa patient ng magandang VA. Or if in case you think that your subjective is also not accurate, you can decrease the full cyclorefraction. For astigmatism, it should be corrected in full kung kaya, or kung hindi kayang i-tolerate ng patient, kung hanggang saan lang yung kaya niyang ma-tolerate. Now, points to remember, gaya nung sabi ko kanina, there are no rigid rules in prescribing lenses in children. So these are guidelines, are just based on clinical experiences rather than clinical trials. No? So gaya nung sabi ko sa inyo, lahat ng shinare ko kanina, those are just guidelines for you to follow, or sometimes titignan nyo lang kung appropriate ba siya para sa patient nyo or hindi. But those are not strict rules for you to do in practice. Lalo na, if you observe dito sa Philippines, ang mga optometrists walang pinapublish, but the ophthalmology department nag-publish sila. But you have to take note, syempre tayo kasi as optometrist, mas forte natin ang vision or ang refraction. That is why, kung manonotice nyo kanina, yung mga ophthalmologists, they would usually rely on the cyclorefraction. Okay? So children will have varying visual requirements at different ages that can affect the decision to prescribe glasses. So what works for one patient is not necessarily the rule to be followed to another patient. So dapat case-to-case pa din. It will still depend on your results of the examination, even your case history answers. Next, we will proceed with spectacle dispensing. So, when it comes to prescription of grade, na okay na tayo. Ngayon naman, when it comes to prescribing glasses. So, ano ba yung indications natin to prescribe glasses? So, ang goal natin dito is to prevent amblyopia, to correct strabismus, and to preserve the binocularity of the patient. We also have our goal of improving the VA of the child, lalo na kung kailangan niya ng good vision pagdating sa school or sa mga sport activities, and to restore comfortable vision. So dispensing a well-fitting and appropriate spectacles is of the utmost importance for the development of eyesight. So a poorly fitting pair of glasses can cause discomfort, permanent visual harm, or even disfigurement. Marami ba dito ang nag-glasses? Can you give me a show of hands? Sino dito yung nag-glasses? Marami ba? Meron ba na nagsusuot ng glasses? Diba? So marami-rami din. Sa mga nagtaas ng hands, iilan sa inyo sino yung nag-start na magsalamin simula nung bata? Meaning nung preschool or nung grade school, nagsuot na? Okay. So, meron din. From what you remember, if you can still remember your first pair of glasses, can you remember, kayo ba yung namili nung frame? Or yung parents nyo ba yung namili? Can you remember? Kayo ba yung namili? Kasi favorite color nyo yon? Or dahil may design siya nung favorite character ninyo? Or was the frame chosen by the parents? So mostly parents, no? Pagbata. So usually when it comes to glasses, when it comes to adults, kasi we have our own choice na. So alam na natin kung anong gusto nating design, kung bagay ba siya sa atin, or ito ba yung uso. But usually for parents, for pediatric patients, mostly parents yung nagde-decide. That is why you should be able to know, or you should be able to advise the parents when it comes to choosing the appropriate glasses, no? Because if nagbigay ka ng pangit na fit na glasses, it brings about discomfort, lalo na. I'm not sure kung meron sa inyo nakaka-experience before. Pag pangit na yung fit ng glasses, either masakit siya sa may nose, bumabakat siya dito, or yung iba naman nagrereklamo, masakit siya dito sa may ears. So kung kayo as an adult now, experience pain when it comes to poorly fit glasses, what more sa bata? If yung bata, ayaw niya yung fit ng glasses, masakit, kapag sinusuot niya, it brings about discomfort. And kapag hindi na niya sinuot yon kasi ayaw niya, masakit daw, kung ang goal natin is to prevent amblyopia and to correct the strabismus with the glasses, if hindi naman niya sinuot, baliwala lang yung pinarescribe mo kasi hindi naman natin na-achieve yung goal natin. That's why a poorly fit glasses can cause permanent visual harm if ayaw ng patient. Tapos, even disfigurement, lalo na, merong iba talaga yung mga matagal na nagsusuot, bumabakat na talaga dito yung nose pads or yung nagkakaroon na siya ng depression, or you have to consider as well na yung bata, magmamature pa yung facial structure, may mga bones na magde-develop, even yung nose niya, tatangos pa yan. So if pangit yung fit ng binigay mo, tapos tatangos pa yung ilong niya, meaning magkakaroon ng disfigurement sa nasal structure ng bata. Okay, so frames selected for children should not be solely based on aesthetics. So the frame should be anatomically fit sa kanya, meaning hindi siya masakit sa tenga, okay sa may ilong, hindi nalalaglag sa kanya. Kasi if nalalaglag, masyadong maluwag, then the lenses would not be placed correctly in front of the eyes. Diba? During your optics or your ophthalmics, ang goal natin is yung PD ng patient mag-coincide dun sa center of the lens para optimum yung clarity na makita niya. But if the frames are too big, hindi tumatama sa center, then possible nagkakaroon tayo ng distortions. So it should be comfortable, stable, and not damage the forming features. And last, it should not inhibit the natural development of the nasal structure. So ano ba yung frame and facial measurements na kailangan natin? So first, you have to take note of the crest height. So yung crest height, it determines how high or how low the frame sits on the face. So this is the distance measured between the lower lid and the nasal crest. Meaning, titignan natin kung paano siya uupo yung glasses sa face natin. Kapag ba sinusuot niya, nalalaglag siya sa may nose, bumababa ba siya? Diba, merong iba nag-i-slide na parang nasa ilalim na nasa cheeks na yung lenses niya if it's too big. So you have to factor in the crest height starting from the lower lid up to the nasal crest. Next measurement is the splay angle. So here, it determines the angle of the nose pad bridge or the nose pads in the horizontal plane. So meaning kapag tinitignan mo yung patient, you have to take note kung gaano katangos or ano yung angle ng nose niya dito. That is our splay angle here. It's positioned here. Next, the frontal angle naman. Kapag nakaharap sa'yo, paano yung nasal structure ng patient. So, ito siya. Titignan mo siya dito. This is your frontal angle. And in the frame, ito siya. This is the frontal angle. Kasi dito magre-rely kung matangos yung ilong ng patient, tama ba yung fit ng glasses sa kanya, or kung usually sa mga Pilipino, pango, walang ilong, di ba, nag-i-slide siya. Next is the bridge projection. So dito, i-determine mo kung gaano kalayo yung frame sa mukha ng patient. Kasi you have to factor in the eyelashes. There are patients kasi na kapag yung frame is walang nose pads or minsan sobrang lapit na nung lens sa mata niya, nagkakaroon tayo ng discomfort every time the patient blinks. 'Di ba? If in case yung lens mo is sobrang lapit na sa eyes mo, tapos every time you blink, yung lashes mo nagta-touch sa back surface of the lens. Sometimes it brings about discomfort kasi nararamdaman mo na yung lashes mo natatamaan, or baka naman if in case yung gamit mo is may coating or minsan may protection nga, pero every time na nagta-touch yung lashes sa back part of the lens, nasisira yung coating or nagkakaroon ng scratches. So, syempre, kapag marami ng scratch yung lens, it does not give the optimum visual clarity. Next is the head width. So here, we measure the horizontal distance from ear point to ear point, meaning from the ear here to the other ear here. So usually, it is used, gumagamit ng head calipers to measure. Pero dito kasi sa Philippines or sa practice natin, even sa school, parang wala tayong calipers to measure the size. So usually, ang ginagawa lang natin is nagre-rely tayo sa boxing method. So you would just check the sizing of the glasses na nasa temple. Next, the temple width. Kung yung kanina ear to ear, temple width naman is from temple to temple. Just to check lang din kung okay yung size ng frame na ibibigay natin sa patient using the boxing method again. So, di ba sa boxing method, nakalagay lang doon if it is a size 60, size 58, size 62, then usually trial and error lang tayo. Magbibigay ka ng size 60, titingnan mo kung hindi maluwag sa kanya. Then, if in case maluwag, you would move to a size down, na size 58 or size 56. So, ganun lang tayo. Next, the pantoscopic angle. So, pantoscopic angle is, ito yung titingnan natin kung gaano kalayo yung lens sa mata natin, di ba? If you remember from your ophthalmics class, pantoscopic angle is the angle wherein the lens is lumalapit siya sa face natin, which is paganyan siya. And the retroscopic angle is yung palayo naman siya sa frame natin, or sa face natin. So when it comes to pantoscopic angle kasi, we need it especially kung may near problems yung bata, na kapag nagbabasa ba siya, tumatama yung eyes niya dun sa reading portion ng lenses natin. So this is also applicable if you prescribe progressive lenses to kids and to adults. Kasi, di ba, kapag nagbibigay tayo ng prescription glasses na may pang-reading, yung progressive na nasa baba, yung reading portion niya, if in case kasi na yung pantoscopic angle mo is too high, na kapag tumitingin siya sa reading portion ng lens, hindi tumatama, then hindi din clear yung magiging vision niya when it comes to reading. So the main features of a spectacle frame for a child compared with an adult, it should have a reduced crest height, a larger frontal angle, meaning you have to factor in the nasal structure of the child. Kaya dapat mas larger yung frontal angle and display angle. Then the smaller bridge projection and the smaller head and temple width. And last is dapat mababa or less yung pantoscopic tilt ng frame. Next is the frame material. So here, a frame needs to be robust enough to withstand the child's active lifestyle. So meaning, if in case kasi na nagbigay ka lang ng murang frame or yung mabilis na mabasag na plastic, tapos hyperactive pala yung bata, malikot, nag-i-sports, baka isang tama lang ng bola, masira agad yung frame, even the lens as well. Tapos pag nabasag, baka pumasok pa yung shards or yung bubog sa mata ng patient, di ba? Na-injure mo pa yung patient mo. So the ideal child's frame should be lightweight, it should be flexible, and it should be hypoallergenic. So here, how do we monitor if tama yung frame fit? So the fit should be checked every 2 to 3 months, every follow-up ng patient. Then you should always encourage the patients to come visit frequently para ma-double check mo kung okay pa yung fit. Then if in case the patient is there, you should check the overall fit. Dapat you have to take note kung nalalaglag na ba siya, masakit sa may tenga, or hindi tumatama sa center yung lens. If in case then yung length to bend, yung dito, yung nag-hook sa ears, it should be increased as the patient grows. Next is the lenses. So here, familiar lang kasi tayo, especially for adults, is the CR39, di ba? Yun yung pinaka-common, yung lagi natin binibili. Even nung nag-ophthalmics kayo, CR39 lang yung ginagamit ninyo. But for pediatric patients, mas advisable ang polycarbonate, Trivex, and the aspheric lenses than the CR39. So polycarbonate is always the lens material of choice in pediatric dispensing, meaning this is always the number one or the number one recommendation kapag magpe-prescribe tayo ng glasses. Why? Because this is thinner and lighter than CR39. So I'm not sure if may gumagamit sa'yo ng polycarbonate, but if you have seen one, if na-notice nyo, mas, kumwari, you would observe a -2 na CR39 and a -2 polycarbonate lens. If itatabi mo sila side by side, mas makikita mo na mas manipis ang polycarbonate. So it has a high impact resistant. So dito kasi ang polycarbonate, it becomes high impact resistant and thinner and lighter than the CR39 because it has a higher index of refraction. Ang CR39 kasi, it has an index of refraction of 1.49, while ang polycarbonate lens has an index of refraction of 1.59. So, mas mataas ang polycarbonate. 1.59, 1.49. So when it comes to lenses, the higher the index of refraction is, the more thinner and lighter the lens is. Then another, kapag tumataas din yung index, tumataas din yung pagiging impact resistant ng lens. So advantage, it's impact resistant, wala siyang age-related warping, chipping, or discoloration. So it also has a high index. Gaya nung sabi ko kanina, it has a 1.586 or rounded off to 1.59. Then it is one of the lightest lens material available. And it has an UV protection of around 280 na absorb niya. So it is resistant to distortion by heat and has electrical resistance properties. However, kahit na impact resistant siya, it's lightweight and it has protection, may disadvantages pa rin ang polycarbonate. So the surface quality is poor and the aberration value is low. So kapag mababa yung aberration value, nagkakause siya ng visual problems, lalo na kung off-axis yung tinitingnan ng patient. So gaya ng sabi ko kanina, surface quality is poor because the surface is soft. It has been found to scratch easily. So, lalo na kung yung binigay mo na frame is masyado malapit sa eyes niya, tapos binigyan ng polycarbonate, tapos yung lashes na nagtatouch, mas mabilis magkaroon ng scratches ang polycarbonate. Then, if bibigyan naman natin siya ng surface coatings or yung mga protection, sometimes nababawasan yung pagiging impact resistant ng polycarbonate. But usually, hindi naman sobra. Minsan lang siya, hindi din naman noticeable, but usually it affects the resistance of the polycarbonate. Then may weakness din ang polycarbonate. Kahit na impact resistant siya, kapag na-expose siya sa solvents, especially for acetone, nababawasan yung pagiging impact resistant niya. Mas mabilis siyang ma-chip or magkaroon ng cracks. That is why, should you handle polycarbonate lenses, kapag lilinisin ninyo, avoid using acetone or any other solvents para hindi masira yung lenses natin. Next, we have Trivex. So Trivex is the ideal lens choice for children with low to medium prescriptions. So ano ba yung advantages niya? So it withstands a pulling force of 80 kilograms and withstands pressure of 10 kilograms. If you remember from your ophthalmics class, di ba merong tawag na drop ball test? So drop ball test, from the term itself, merong ball na usually around minimum 10 kilograms na ida-drop siya from a certain height. Tapos kapag i-check nila kapag yung lens is tumama yung ball doon, magka-crack ba siya or masisira ba siya? That is a drop ball test. So it is a test to check the impact resistance of the lens. So based on the drop ball test, ang Trivex can withstand at least a pressure of 10 kilograms and a pulling force of 80 kilograms. Meaning maganda yung pagiging impact resistant niya. It also displays a good resistance to scratching, hindi kagaya ng polycarbonate na mahina yung surface quality. Then it also observes UV up to 395 and displays good resistance to high temp. Also, wala siyang weakness when it comes to solvents. So kung titignan natin, yung mga weakness na kay polycarbonate is hindi siya ganun kay Trivex, no? So pareha silang impact resistant. Si Trivex is scratch resistant, but si polycarbonate has poor resistance to scratch. Tapos, may weakness pagdating sa solvent si polycarbonate, pero si Trivex wala. Pero bakit pagdating sa prescription, ideal lang siya to those with low to medium. Pero pagdating kay polycarbonate, kahit ano yung prescription, mas ideal pa rin yung lens choice pagdating doon. Any idea bakit? Why do you think? Pagdating sa Trivex, low to medium lang siya recommended. Pero pag polycarbonate na, kahit ano yung grado pwede. Any idea why? Wala. So usually kasi it all falls down to the index of refraction. So 'di ba kanina sinabi ko, the index of refraction, the higher the index, the more thinner or the more lighter the lens is. So kung ang CR39 has a 1.49, polycarbonate has 1.59, yung Trivex kasi is nasa 1.51 or 1.52 lang siya. So meaning in between siya. CR39, 1.49, 1.52, and then 1.59. So meaning mas mataas pa rin ang index of refraction ng polycarbonate kaysa sa Trivex. And the higher the index is, the thinner the lens is. That is why okay lang siya for low to medium. Kasi yung kapal ng lens, hindi siya ganon kabigat, hindi siya ganon kakapal kapag nasa lens na. Pero kapag mataas yung prescription ng patient, tapos Trivex ang binigay mo, mas halata yung kapal niya as opposed kung polycarbonate yung ibibigay mo na lens. Okay? Naintindihan ba? Okay, next we have a spheric lens naman. So a spheric lens, this is called the ultra-thin lens sa market. So if observe na sa mga optical shops tapos may sinasabi silang ultra-thin lens, that is our aspheric lens. It is also called high index lens kasi mas mataas yung index niya kesa kay polycarbonate. So aspheric lenses or the high index lenses, Meron siyang tatlong types of index sa market. It has the 1.61, 1.67, and the 1.74. Diba? Kung yung ano natin, si R39, 1.49 lang. Si aspheric, nasa 1.6 na. So meaning, mas mataas siya. That is why, mas mataas, mas high index na, mas manipis siya. Kaya ultra thin ang tawag sa kanya. That is why it improves the cosmetic appearance of spectacle lenses, di ba? So kung wari, pag nakaside yung patient, nakikita mo ang kapal ng lens, pero pag ultra thin lenses, nababawasan. So it improves the cosmetics. So it is flatter by at least 2 to 3 diopters. It's slightly thinner and has good oblique vision. Then, less spectacle magnification siya. If napapansin niyo dun sa mga matataas yung grado, hindi ba, yung high minus, ang liit na ng mata. Nagkakaroon na ng fish eye. If hyperopic naman na mataas, magnified yung mata ng patient. Si aspheric lens kasi, ang design niya, kaya siya mas manipis, yung front surface niya is flatter than our normal lenses. Diba, kung wari, ang normal na plus lens, ganyan siya, it's biconcave. Kapag minus lens naman, ganyan siya. Pag si aspheric lenses kasi, flat yung harap, then yung likuran lang yung curved. Either flat ito, then ito lang yung curved, or ito lang yung ganyan. Or naka-concave siyang ganyan. That is why, flat sa harap, thickness is usually kita sa likuran. Kaya ang nangyayari dyan, it lesses the fish eye or the magnification of the lenses. Kaya kapag, kung gusto ng patient na, ayoko nagmumukhang maliit yung eyes ko, o kaya nagmumukhang sobrang laki ng eyes ko due to the power of the lens, you can prescribe aspheric lenses for cosmetic appearances. Next, we have lens coatings. So, ang lens coatings kasi, di ba, ang adult, kaya magbayad. Gusto ko ng transitions, gusto ko pag nasa labas para ako naka-shades. But when it comes to pediatric patients kasi, lens coatings is a case-to-case basis. Either kailangan ba niya, or is it for cosmetic lang? Kasi we also have factors to consider. Minsan kasi, may patients na every 3 months nagpapalit ng glasses. That is why sometimes it's costly for the parents, di ba? Kaya minsan, wag na natin lagyan ng coating kasi after 3 months, magpapalit ulit siya. Sayang naman. Pero you also have to factor in, aside from the costs, is, syempre, sanay na tayo ngayon, digital age na, laging nakaharap sa screen, sa laptop, sa computers, or sa cellphones. You also have to factor in, if in case naman, gusto ba ng patient na hindi siya nagkakaroon ng glare or screen sensitivity, then you have to prescribe lens coatings. But surely, if magbibigay ka ng high-index lenses, it's always a must. Kailangan lagyan mo siya ng lens coatings. So what is the ideal lens design? So it should be cosmetically acceptable. Kasi baka naman bata siya, tapos binigyan mo siya tinted lenses. Paano kapag nasa loob siya ng school, di ba? Mahihirapan siya kasi may color yung nakikita niya. Unless it is prescribed for medical purposes, kailangan you also have to factor in the cosmetic appearance. It should also be lightweight. It should be thin, robust, lalo na kung sporty siya. Baka naman kasi binigyan mo siya ng CR39, tapos nag-volleyball pala siya or basketball, tapos natamaan yung bola, natamaan ng bola yung glasses niya, nabasag yung frame, nabasag din yung glasses, tapos may bubog na pumasok sa mata ng patient. E din, nasira pa or na-affect pa yung eyes ng patient. Which is, recently lang, may nakwento sa akin is natamaan yung isang student, shuttlecock. Shuttlecock lang yun, pero nabasag yung, yung glasses, tapos natamaan yung mata. So, meaning, nagkaroon pa ng emergency surgery. Diba? So, you have to factor in the impact-resistant lens and yung frame when prescribing the glasses. It should also protect against UV, and it should be easy to clean. Lalo na kasi may mga patients na or yung mga bata na kahit ano hinahawakan, tas madumi yung kamay, hahawakan yung glasses, paglalaroan yung lenses. Tapos makikita mo yung lens, puno ng smudges, puno ng handprints. So, it should also be easy to clean. So, in pediatric dispensing, safety is always the critical issue. So, the practitioner has the duty of care to warn the parents, the children, of the dangers of not providing adequate eye protection and must discuss with the child's parents the materials available. So, it is our duty as optometrists, kahit alam naman kasi natin dito sa Philippines, we are a third world country. Wala tayong free healthcare. So, although ngayon, meron na kasing PhilHealth package pagdating sa mga bata. Pero syempre, magkano lang yung nababawasan. So, hindi talaga tayo kagaya ng, for example, sa UK, na even yung glasses is covered siya ng NHS nila. So, here, kahit na kung on a budget yung parent, dapat hindi ka lang mag-stop dun sa kung hanggang saan lang afford niya. Kahit na, si CR39 lang muna yung afford niya ngayon, it would be best na at least i-educate mo pa rin sila with the different types of lenses available in the market. Kasi malay mo, in the future, dahil aware na sila na may ganung lens pala, mapaghandaan nila. Diba? Maipunan nila. So at least, hindi lang sila nag-stick sa CR39, alam pala nila na may polycarbonate lens, lalo na kung naglalaro ng sports yung parent or yung student, tapos o kaya hyperactive siya, malikot siya, lagi siyang nasisiraan every 3 months, at least aware sila na meron palang mga impact-resistant lens para mas protected yung eyes ng patient. Okay? So, always do not judge the patient based on the budget, but rather it is your duty to educate the parents. Okay? So, here is an example of a good fit. If observe nyo, same patient, parehas na patient yan, magkaiba lang ng size ng frame. Diba? So, dito, this is a big frame sa kanya. Pero pag naghanap ka ng same design, but a smaller, well-fitting frame, mas okay siyang tignan sa kanya. Next, we have this one. Kung titignan ninyo, cute lang, di ba? Ang cute naman, suot niya yung glasses ng papa niya or suot niya yung glasses ng mama niya. But if ito na talaga yung pe-prescribe mo sa kanya, pangit yung fit. Tignan mo yung nose bridge, ay yung nose niya. Hindi tumatama yung nose pads, malaki yung lenses that might bring visual distortions kapag nakatingin siya sa side, even yung temple niya, pangit yung fit kasi maluwag yan. But if you would observe this one, sa tingin nyo, is this a good fit sa patient? What do you think, yes or no? What do you think, is this a good fit? Sa tingin nyo, yes or no lang? Walang gusto sumagot? Okay. So here, if you would observe, okay naman dito, yung sa my nose, it sits well on the nasal structure. The lenses, it's correctly placed in front of the eyes. If you would observe the temple, okay din yung fit, no? So I would say that this basic, if you base it on the picture, okay yung fit ng glasses. How about this one? Sa tingin nyo, is this a good fit? Yes or no? What do you think? Yes or no lang? Is it a good fit or not? Okay, so if you base it on the picture, I would say this is a good fit, but I would double check kung yung lenses nung mata, hindi siya tumatama sa lashes niya. Kasi observe mo, di ba? Kahit bata pa lang siya, mukhang makapal yung lashes. So you would have to observe if the patient is every time na nagbe-blink siya, hindi nagtatouch yung lashes niya sa lenses. Okay? So here are some additional observations that you need to take note of during eye examinations. You have to take note of trauma and ocular manifestations of child abuse and neglect. No? Alam naman natin na meron talaga mga bata na hyperactive, sporty, laging malikot, tumatalon, nagra-run. So if in case the trauma is accidental, natamaan yung ulo, natamaan ng bola, nauntog, very common signs of accidental trauma is concussion. So if in case your patients or may patients sa inyo na tumawag, parents sa inyo na tumawag, natamaan po yung ulo, pwede ko po pa rin po ba siyang mapacheck sa inyo? So usually if there is suspicion of concussion, kailangan urgent care na siya. Okay? So you would advise them to go to their pedia or kailangan magpa-check up na agad para ma-check yung signs of trauma. But if the patient has ocular manifestations of abuse, but it is non-accidental, meaning hindi due to kalikutan ng bata, hindi dahil sa sports or dahil anything that is beyond their control. Some manifestations when it comes to eye trauma are some conjunctival hemorrhages, lid lacerations, corneal scars and opacities, retinal trauma like hemorrhages, folds, tears, or detachments. So these are some ocular traumas that you have to take note kung meron man yung patient. You should ask kung paano nagkaroon. Ano yung bakit siya nagkaroon ng ganyang trauma? Kailan pa yan? Paano na-treat? Or napacheck up na ba sa mga practitioners? You should also take note if in case nagtatanong ka regarding sa trauma tapos there are case history inconsistencies, meaning walang binigay na case history kung bakit siya nagkaroon ng ganon. The history is vague or inconsistent with the injuries. So if in case nag-change din yung history niya during the course of the examination, or magkaiba yung sinasabi ng one parent to the other parent or between the parent and the child, those are some inconsistencies that you need to take note of. Or if in case lagi na lang siya nagkakaroon ng office visits, lalo na kapag nagtanong ka, kailan po siya last na hospital? Kailan po siya last tinignan ng kanyang pedia or last medical examination? Tapos sasabihin niya, parang last month lang meron. Then another month before that, paulit-ulit. So those are red flags when it comes to case histories. Then if in case bawat nakikita mo siya, mas lumalala yung injury niya or hindi talaga pinapacheck ng parent. So these are some red flags that you need to take note of. Next, we have emotional and behavioral signs of abuse and neglect. If the patient has a fear of strangers, or baliktad naman, sobrang attached sa mga strangers. If there is growth failure, low intellectual performance, mababa yung self-esteem, ayaw makipag-interact sa tao, there is suicidal ideation or attempts, tapos pangit yung conduct sa school, may aggressive behavior siya, may sleeping problems, and generalized anxiety, then these are emotional signs that you would also observe sa mga bata if in case you have suspicions of abuse and neglect. Ngayon, in Western countries or those with free healthcare kasi, the rights of the child is protected, di ba? May nakita yung teacher, may nakita yung doctor or yung practitioner, mabilis nila siyang may i-report sa mga police or usually sa mga social workers. Dito kasi sa Philippines, wala kasi tayong universal na protocol when it comes to these cases. Usually, either i-report mo pa siya sa VAW Center or yung Violence Against Women and Children Center sa mga police stations. But should you be able to encounter patients that you have suspicions of abuse and neglect, I hope that you can be able to help the child one way or another. Either you would help report it or talk to the child concerned or dun sa parent na concerned as much as possible lang. Alam ko kasi dito tayo, sanay tayo sa, usually with Asians, yung hindi nakikialam, tumitingin lang, nakikichismis lang. But if you can help the child one way or another, I hope you would be you would be brave enough to help the child na lang. Okay? Any questions with our topics today? Wala? Wala na? Okay. So, for our schedule, since si Yorme is nag-schedule siya ng online classes for next week, Monday and Tuesday, due to the INC rally. So, on Monday next week and on Wednesday, online lang tayo. So, wait for my instructions na lang if online class and sa coursework ninyo for next week. Okay? Then, our last week sa calendar is finals exam. So, on November 24, you will have the scheduled long quiz, yung dapat nung Monday, and our finals exam na. So, para isahan na lang yung pagre-review ninyo. So, for finals exam, same as before, face-to-face tayo. Just bring your gadgets and your your devices for the exam. Okay? So that is all for our class today. Any questions? Any concerns? Wala naman. Okay. So I will just check the attendance muna, no?